All right, the story from Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Braditchev. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Braditchev, he was the rabbi of a big Chassidic community in the city of Braditchev, and he would be the one that sounded the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. And one Rosh Hashanah, he stood up on the podium and he didn't sound the shofar immediately. He waited and he waited and he waited. And then he took out from a little bag a lock of hair, a blonde hair, a lock of woman's hair. And he held it up and he said, God, in the merit of this, listen to the sound of shofar. Have mercy on the Jewish people. And he cried and he cried and he cried. And then he put it down and he sounded the shofar. So people asked, what's going on? And he told them, either it was he that told them or his assistant that went with him, that before Rosh Hashanah, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Braditchev, he looked into the heavens and he saw that there was supposed to be a terrible decree on the Jewish people. A terrible decree on the Jewish people. The Jewish people lived only on miracles, right? As is probably known to everybody, the church is devoted to destroying Judaism. The basis of the church, the Gospels, is that Judaism is wrong, and then we have to destroy Judaism. We have to convince all the Jews to leave Judaism. We have a new truth, a new religion. And of course, that's a lie. And all the time that there is one Jew that believes in God, it reminds them of this lie. So I don't know how conscious or subconscious or unconscious this is, but it's found in every single non-Jew. And amazingly, the Jews lived in this ocean of hatred and, how do you say, destruction. The non-Jews, it was a big mitzvah for them to destroy Judaism in any way possible. And miraculously, they survived. Miraculously survived. I mean, maybe one of the reasons that they survived is because the whole entire their religion is based on the Torah. Without the Torah, the Judeo-Christian heritage, whatever the reason it is, the Jews miraculously survived. But always hanging over their heads was this big sword of pogroms and destruction. So Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Braditchev revealed that there was such a thing hanging over the Jewish people's heads. So he had to go and find some sort of big merit for the Jewish people that would save them, would stand in their as a, how do you say, there's a word for it, a defense. It would stand in the defense. Okay. So before Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah starts in the nighttime, right? So before the nighttime, so he told his helper to come with him, and they went around and they walked around the streets, and he would look at various doors, and this took a long time. Usually before Rosh Hashanah, he would seclude himself and he would pray. Now he was going from house to house. But finally, he stopped in front of one house. I think this is his helper told him, right? He stopped in front of one house, and he knocked on the door, and an older lady came out, lady 60 was 70. She came out, and she was tucking her hair under her pickle, a woman's hair is not supposed to be revealed. Oh, the holy rabbi, yes. Can I? So the rabbi said, I want you to tell me you did something 50 years ago, 55 years ago, when you were 13 years old. What was it? I said, no, I'm very ashamed. Please, Rabbi. He said, listen, I want you to tell me what it was. So she said, okay, Rabbi, I'll tell you what it is, but please don't tell anybody. This is the reason why I think it was Levi Yitzchak that told it, because the helper wasn't there. However it was, we found maybe it was Levi Yitzchak. So he said, so this woman told me her story. What was the story? That when she was young, her father was an innkeeper. He was an innkeeper, and he was renting out this inn, this tavern, on the properties of the baron, the Paritz. And it was successful. It wasn't successful, and sometimes there was bad years. It ended up that there was a couple of bad years, and he wasn't able to pay his taxes. Wasn't able to pay his taxes. So my father became ill, and he asked me to go to the Baron, the Paritz, and to ask for mercy, give him another leave for another year. So I went to the Paritz and I asked him, innocently, 13-year-old girl. She said, I didn't really realize it, but, I had long blonde hair. And when I came into this Baron, he looked at me very strangely. I never saw anybody look at me like that. And I started talking about my father. I saw he wasn't interested in what I was saying. So he said, your father owes me money. He said, listen, my dear, you become my wife, and I'll give your father the whole entire property for free. And not only that, you see this big palace? See all I have? That's nothing. Look out the window. There's my horses, my this. It's all yours. You be my wife? And I said, I'm just, I'm a girl. I'm a Jew. I can't. And he said, no, we'll get around that. I have a priest. He'll take care of it. I said, a priest? No, I can't. So he said, well, at least let me give you a kiss. So I started running out. I ran out the door, and he ran after me, and he grabbed a hold of my hair, and he gave my hair a kiss. And I freed myself from him. I ran outside, jumped into the wagon, and I rode back home, and I took all of our possessions with my sick father, put him in the wagon, and we drove away. So we lost everything we had, but we drove away we escaped. And for some reason, the Baron didn't run after us, and he let us go. So, but since then, I always felt a terrible regret. Since then, I felt very terribly regret. And I asked God for forgiveness that this man kissed my hair. He said, I felt tremendous regret that I allowed him to do such a thing, that he did it, that he touched his hair. And I asked God for forgiveness, and I cut off that lock, and I put it in a little bag. And I always remember this as a sign that I always have to do more to come closer to God. And afterwards, I got married, I had children and everything, but this bag is always. So Rabbi L.Y Braditchev said, I want to have that bag. He said, because you had the chance for riches. You had the chance for a life of luxury. And you were just a young girl. You didn't know the Baron could have easily killed you. And nevertheless, you risked all of that just because you're a Jew. So that with that tremendous self-sacrifice that you have, that'll be the merit that'll save the Jewish people. And that's what Rabbi L.Y Braditchev did. He held up this lock of hair. He said, in the merit of this self-sacrifice, Jewish self-sacrifice of this girl, is listen to the prayers of the Jewish people. And it must have worked that year, because that year there was no pogroms or the destructions, etc. Have a good day with Mashiach now. And remember, when that shofar, you hear the shofar in the month of Elul, especially, as it's yelling out, Father, we want Mashiach now. Tomorrow, I hope I'll tell you the mashal of the Baal Shem Tov on what is a shofar. Shalom.